Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I call to order our regular scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting tonight for January 6, 2025. Happy New Year. Welcome to your first board meeting of 2025.
All right.
Your first Monday of 2025. And it's not snowing yet, but it might be coming soon. So thank y'all for coming here tonight. Our first order of business tonight is our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. For our invocation, I've asked Jimmy Lunsford, the lead pastor of Church Alive, to lead us in our prayer tonight. They have a brand new renovated building. It's a great campus here in town. And on January 19th is Dedication Sunday right there. So I encourage you to check that out and check out their place. Jimmy gave me a tour not long ago, and so I asked Jimmy to come here tonight and give us our invocation. So Jimmy, thank you for being here. I've also asked, after Jimmy, Karen Warren, HR analyst and in charge of recruitment for Fuquay-Varina, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity that we have to worship you and to honor you in not only our words but our actions. We pray, God, a blessing upon each and every item that is to be discussed here tonight, and that you will give the wisdom and the knowledge of not only our town officials and town leaders, God, to be able to lead effectively and to lead with direct intention in everything they do, Lord, to honor you. And we just pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both very much. First item of business tonight is our meeting protocol. At this time, I ask that Senior Deputy Manager Mark Matthews to review the meeting protocol for public participation as it relates to this meeting. Mark, good evening.
Go ahead.
Junior Deputy instead.
Yes.
Junior
Jim
Deputy
Seymour will be doing meeting protocol.
Okay. All right. Mayor, Board, good evening. Tonight's town board meeting is both in person and live streamed on tonight's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Tonight's meeting contains a public comment period and 3 scheduled public hearings. The public is invited to comment in person. When it is the appropriate time, Mayor Massengill will call on those wishing to address the town board. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the town board during the public comment period should provide your name and address on the green registration sheet by the podium prior to the public comment period beginning. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the town board during a scheduled public hearing should provide your name and address on the white registration sheet by the podium. We ask all those wishing to address the town board either during the public comment period or a scheduled public hearing to begin their comments by clearly stating their name and address for the public record. The public is asked to keep all comments to 3 minutes so that all that wish to speak can be heard in a timely manner. To be respectful of those that may have different views on matters addressed by the town board, we ask that all in attendance respect the decorum of the meeting by refraining from clapping, making loud noises, and generally showing support or displeasure for comments made during the public comment period or public hearings. Police Chief Smith will be asked to escort from the boardroom anyone not respecting the process, and it is the discretion of the mayor as presiding officer of the meeting to continue the public comment and or public hearing period if the meeting protocol is not followed. This concludes the protocol for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Jim. Next item of business, it will be our approval of minutes from the December 17th, 2024 Town Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting. Any changes or additions to the minutes from board members? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the December 17th, 2024 Town Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting as printed and distributed.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. First presentation tonight, item 4A, recognition Board of Adjustment members. More information about the agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davison. Pam, good evening.
Good evening. We were very sad to see 3 of our Board of Adjustment members leave this past year. We have 3 new members that will be swearing in next Monday night. But both William Hartman and Dan Miller have been on our Board of Adjustment since 2017 and have really made a difference in some of the decisions and things that we've made. We appreciate their outlook. Dan served as our chair and William served as our vice chair through those times. And then Cassandra Flowers has served 1 term on our Board of Adjustment. So we just wanted to say thank you to their service, to their community and their town.
I know,
Here, Cassandra's
I know
here
Alex is
tonight.
representing Cassandra tonight. Is Mr. Hartman or Mr. Miller? I hadn't seen them.
They weren't
Okay,
able
I
to
hadn't seen them here
come.
tonight. But Alex, please share with Cassandra. We appreciate her service very much for it and on our Board of Adjustments. And Pam, I've also Mr. Hartman and Mr. Miller spoken with also when they were appointed. And you've had some 3 great members that are cycling off. You have new members on there to do a good job there. So, board members, if you're watching online at home, thank y'all for your participation. Thank you, Pam. Next presentation, item 4B, recognition of human resources staff certifications. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Human Resources Director Moody. Wendy, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. How are you guys today?
Good.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come forward. I just wanted to come forward today and recognize the Human Resources staff. We are part of the Public Sector Human Resources Association, also known as PESRA. They offer 2 credentials that are offered to each HR professional. The first one is a certified professional, which is the entry level or mid-level. The knowledge, well, they actually have to take a test. It's 95 questions, and you have up to 3 hours to take the test. The knowledge that is tested is compliance, documentation, and policy development, recruitment and selection process, classification and compensation, employee and labor relations and performance management, employee benefit programs and plans, as well as HR information system and data analysis. So Karen Warner, she has been with the town. This is Karen here. She's been with the town since May 9th of 2022 and has 8 years of recruitment experience. And standing next to her is Robin Savage. She's been employed with the town just 6 months as of July. She was hired July 1st of 2024 and has over 18 years of HR experience. And so both of these ladies took the 3-hour test and passed, and so they both have been awarded the designation of certified professional. I'm very proud of my team. They have worked hard, and they work hard to provide for our employees on a daily basis. And then the next one is the senior level certification. As you can see, it's basically the same length of test, same type of questions, just a little bit more complicated. Senior level is employee and labor relations, leadership, organizational development and culture, talent acquisition and HR operations, HRS data analysis and reporting, HR policy development, strategic planning, and that designation was awarded to Wendy Moody. So anyway, but we just wanted to bring them forward today to show you that they are working hard. Going forward, each staff member has to get 60 certification points over the next 2 years to continue this certification. So it's not just take a class and be done with it. It's to continue in furthering their education in order to make this better place for employees to work.
Well, ladies, first of all, thank you very much for taking your time to continue to better your education and better yourselves and what you do for Fuquay-Varina. Karen, I have always called you Karen Warren and Wander. I was corrected tonight on that, so I apologize about that right there. So thank you, Moody. I remember in college taking HR classes, and they were very, very hard. So I can only imagine what you've gone through studying right here recently and doing that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that for our employees. Human Resources is a very important department. As you know, I often brag about our staff having a great quality of service here for our citizens, and our citizens rank very high, and that's because this is a happy place to work, and y'all help make this a happy place to work, looking after that. So thank y'all very much. Congratulations. Keep it up. We'd love to, everybody on the board would love to shake your hands also and be able to take a picture with you too.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Good job. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, good job.
Congratulations.
Notice that. Manager Matthews, did you have any comments you'd like to add about HR? I think HR rolls up in one of your areas.
Sure. I just wanted to mention, from management standpoint, how appreciative we are that HR is not only encouraging departments to do what they can to develop and grow their abilities of their employees, but they're leading by example and achieving these top certifications in their field, as we expect every department to do, because we know we've got the best talent in Fuquay-Varina, and these certifications are another way of bringing value back to our citizens.
Thank you, Mark. Next item on our agenda is the public comment period. At this time, the town clerk will call on individuals that are in attendance and have registered to address the town board prior to the meeting. The public comment period is a time for the public to address the town board about any matter that is not the subject of a scheduled public hearing. Those speaking are asked to begin by clearly stating your name and address for the public record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes in order that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Teresa, do you have anybody signed up?
We have one, Carol Hunter, but it might be for public hearing because it's on the street name change is her address.
Yes, ma'am, I'll be coming up soon on a public hearing. This is for anybody that signed up that's for not a item on the agenda tonight. Okay. No further names. All right, Teresa, thank you. There are no items tabled from a previous meeting for tonight. Next item on our agenda is public hearings. Public hearings are a time for the petitioner to present his or her request and for the public to give input and voice their favor or opposition to the request. If you wish to speak and are physically in attendance, please step forward to the podium one at a time, provide your name and address on the registration log at the podium, and clearly state your name and address for the public record. We ask all those addressing the town board to please limit your comments to 3 minutes, or all that who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. First public hearing, item 7A, resolution for street name change, Dublin Creek Drive to Meadow Walk Drive. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davison.
Thank you so much. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a resolution to rename Dublin Creek Drive to Meadow Walk Drive. Due to development in the area, Meadow Walk Drive and Dublin Creek Drive in the McLaurin subdivision are proposed to be connected in the new Vinci subdivision. This connection will result in 2 different addressing blocks butting up against each other, which could cause confusion, potentially delay emergency response and delivery services. 20 parcels will be affected by this change, but most are currently unoccupied or have not been built upon. The entirety of Dublin Creek Drive is in town limits. The impacted property owners have received notice of this hearing. Signs have been posted at each ends of the street in question, and the notice was advertised as required. If the renaming receives approval tonight, the readdressing for the affected parcels will begin with the effective date 30 days from today. The suggested motion tonight is to approve a resolution for street name change to change Dublin Creek Drive to Meadow Walk Drive as presented and recommended. We did work with the 2 builders that are out, and this was their request. They liked Meadow Walk Drive better than Dublin Creek, and at the time we started talking to them, they were building some speculative homes. My understanding is 2 homes have closed since then. The builders were going to pass along information and work with us to make sure those 2 residents knew, but there was definitely less impact to people by switching Dublin Creek versus Meadow Walk Drive as the developers requested. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions at this time? Thank you, Director Davison. The hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the street name change? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the street name change? Please come forward, state your name and address for the public record.
Carol Hunter, 291 Dublin Creek Drive. First, I'll address the thing about the builders informing the homeowners. There was a sign put at the end of the street. Had we not had dogs and been walking down at that end, we would have never seen it. So I don't know if any of the, if the other owner or the other one that's got one in process even know about this. The builders do not communicate at all. Once they get your money, they don't know you. At least the one that we have, Gemstone, had taken that approach. We moved to Fuquay the end of November. I have spent that entire time changing all my addresses. Not everybody allows you to do it online, which kind of surprised me. A lot of them you have to call. You got to sit on a call waiting queue for an hour. Then you got to prove who you are, and then you have to change it. I'll have to do all that again. You said they'll change the utilities here, but I still own my home in Charlotte that I haven't sold yet, so I have to pay all my bills there too. So, you know, you're talking about an expansive, it's taken me a month and a half to get everybody changed, and now I'm going to have to go back and redo all of that, credit card, billing addresses. I mean, if any of you haven't moved lately, it's a nightmare like you wouldn't believe. And then the other thing, I just don't understand why they can't, instead of doing a curve, just do an intersection and have a stop sign, and nobody has to change anything. I don't know if this impacts the builders because they got the houses advertised for Dublin Creek, but you know, it's just taking a lot of time to do the work that requires, and I'm kind of worried with a loopy road that you're going to have people speeding, and you know, you're going to have, it's a neighborhood with children, and I know that can happen. We had it in Charlotte. I've been run off my street in Charlotte, you know, the streets in our subdivision before, having to jump in the ditch because people race through to beat the traffic light. So, you know, I'm worried if we have a loop, it's going to cause, I'd rather have a stop sign, but that's a personal thing. And as for the other owners, I doubt they even know about this, that they'll just get a big surprise when you change the address. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition to the street name change? Hearing is now closed. Director Davison, a couple follow-up questions for you. This road being a loop road versus a T intersection road, has that plan changed, or has it always been a loop road?
This was how the Vinci subdivision developed it, was a loop road.
So when it was developed from day one, it's shown as a loop road? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so then from, the name change came up from standpoint of once you have two different parcels connect, we have this all the time, road names.
Right. The name change came up as Vinci is developing, and we started looking at the addressing that would have been required. Because obviously when McLaurin was approved, we didn't know what was going to connect those stub roads, right? It could have come up that Meadow Walk would go straight north and it would tee into it, but once Vinci, which they're working on their infrastructure right now, we started looking at the addressing and realized that that was the red flag, that we had an issue. And Wake County, also who approves our addressing, was on board with this solution, so.
So do we don't have any roads that have been built in recently, or as long as I've been involved here in over 10 years, that one direction is a name and then just changes names all of a sudden. Any loop road is always always one synonymous name throughout it.
Yes, it gets very confusing. And the other thing is because they're coming, you know, addressing is definitely a science, north-south to east-west roads, so that the numbering would have been very confusing because people, you know, generally when you're driving along, you know the numbering is odd on one side, even on the other side, right, and it's incrementing up. So if it came to a halt in the middle and they were totally different blocks, I mean, it could be very confusing. So that's what we're trying to avoid and trying to take care of this quickly with the least impact.
Okay. From the public safety standpoint, public safety, have any concerns? I know you have conversations with them with Wake County in regards to that. Does public safety have any concerns from the standpoint of having a road that has a single road having two names on it, or is public safety looking for a single name on a road?
My understanding is they're looking for a single name.
Okay. All right. Any further questions from board members?
Well, just to confirm, one of the main reasons for this is to have something that doesn't confuse our emergency vehicles that might be looking for an address. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So it's a safety thing.
It is, yeah.
Also, were letters sent out, Mr. Mayor, as they usually are to the residents in that, I guess, those two
How does
houses?
the
Yes.
public?
Yeah, so.
Mr. Haynes talking about.
Right,
You
so
speak in
yes,
regards to that, public
letters, there's a series of letters. Letters were sent out to these properties. We can only use the addresses that Wake County has. And so some of these have closed during the process. So we originally sent them out, again, they were under the developers' names. And so we sent them, we can only use the tax records for information on who owns what properties. That's our, so that's what we did. So it was been advertised. We posted the signs. The town posted the signs on either side of the road about this public hearing tonight. And then we sent letters to basically every property owner. So, those two developers own a substantial number of these lots, and then the original developer still owns 2 lots. And so they were all aware of the process as well. And then after tonight, we'll have another letter that actually is going to detail what the address change process will entail, what utilities, who we let know, who we inform. So those will be, again, we'll walk those people through the process.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Is that you? All right, any other further questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion from the board.
Mayor Massengill, I move that we approve a resolution for the street name change to change Dublin Creek Drive to Meadow Walk Drive as presented and recommended.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Next public hearing, item 7B, zoning map amendment, Mohammed K. Ali, 426 and 428 Longfellow Street, REZ-2024-14. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davidson. Pam, you're still up.
I'm still up. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of .169 acres located at 426 and 428 Longfellow Street from the residential low-density zoning district to the town center residential zoning district. The subject properties consist of 2 lots from the original Lincoln Heights subdivision dating back to 1945. The Land Development Ordinance defines the lots as lots of record, so the property owner is permitted by right to construct 1 single-family home on each lot with reduced setbacks. The requested TCR zoning and proposed townhouse development will bring the properties into compliance with current codes and standards and incorporate zoning conditions which require specific facade elements, including a covered entry or front porch, glazing on the front door, no vinyl siding, instead of developing under the non-conforming lot of record allowance. At the December 16, 2024 regular meeting, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval. The suggested motion tonight is to approve REZ 2024-14, a zoning map amendment at 426 and 428 Longfellow Street from the residential low-density zoning district to the town center residential zoning district, as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for staff? We're open to public hearing. Okay, thank you, Director Davison. The hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment?
My name is Danielle Caro. I live on 414 Longfellow Street, Fuquay-Varina. I am the neighboring home next to this lot. A little background. I am a welder, a master fabricator, a welding inspector, as well as a welding instructor at Wake Technical Community College. Now, a few of these quote-unquote townhomes, which look like duplexes, have already been put together on my street, Longfellow. Per TCR zoning, they are supposed to be 5 feet from the neighboring property line. Well, I have taken out my handy dandy tape measure, and they are not a minimum of 5 feet. Some of them sit at 4, some of them are sitting at 4.5. As well, to construct these townhomes, a general contractor is normally hired for these projects. There is one at the top of Longfellow Street currently that has been halted due to Duke power lines. Now, if a general contractor was hired for this, he would have taken that into consideration before these plans were moved forward, but they were not. And so now I understand with government work, with towns, there are plenty of hands in one pot. So I'm curious where my forgotten neighborhood has fallen in the cracks, because this is not the first time my neighborhood has been fallen in the cracks. I bought my home 8 years ago at the age of 21 when I was going through welding school. I worked very hard to buy that property and own that property, and very hard to pay it off. I knew it was going to appreciate in value, only to find out a man bought the lot next to my home that I was told was runoff and owned by the town when I bought my home. And he has lied to me. He has told me he was going to put a single family home there. Now it has turned into a townhome that looks like a duplex. Now I understand there are varying definitions of a duplex, but every single definition I have found online, on Google, on Rocket Home Mortgage, a duplex is 2 homes that share one wall, which are, in fact, the 2 structures on Longfellow Street. I encourage everyone to take the time out, take a field trip, go to my road, take out a tape measure. Check out these properties, because again, my neighborhood is the forgotten neighborhood. Okay, we have landlords in there that take advantage of families. There has been electrical fires this past year with children who live in those homes. Homes that should not be passed for rental. But as far as I'm concerned, this town wants to allow developers to come in, to build more homes, more rental properties, and to take advantage of hardworking residents of Fuquay-Varina. And again, of my forgotten neighborhood, Longfellow Street, across from Lincoln Heights Elementary, where I went to school from 1st grade when I moved here at the age of 7. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment? Hearing's now closed. A couple comments I'll make in regards to this project right here. Pam, and these will probably be some questions for you to answer too at the same time. First of all, I can tell you completely this neighborhood has not been forgotten at all. And I think one of these board members up here has forgotten this neighborhood. We have one board member that lives in the neighborhood, and it's a very important neighborhood here in Fuquay-Varina. And it saddens me that somebody feels that they have been forgotten, because that's not what anybody wants right here in town. Pam, first of all, regards to setbacks, comments were made that the setbacks doesn't meet setbacks. Ken, when something's built, what's the process of meeting setbacks? Is there any surveys done? Does somebody just turn in paperwork, then go build what they want, or what's reality? What's happening in the real world?
And I might refer to Chris Hennett with the inspections department, because it's obviously the building inspectors are the ones that are out there. But generally speaking, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, when properties are really close, we generally do require an as-built survey of the foundation to be submitted after those foundations are constructed to ensure and demonstrate that those setbacks have been met.
And what happens if somebody doesn't build something to the setbacks?
Well, first off, whatever, if we have a lot of whatever structure that is within 1 foot of the property, of the setback line, we require an as-built survey. And at that point in time, whatever it is determined in, whatever it meets, construction goes on. If it doesn't, whatever, stop there and adjustments, whatever take place at that point in time. Whether it's to depending upon the type of construction, where it's to cut a slab or whatever, so that you're within the distance or whatever, or you relocate the foundation itself.
Are setbacks measured to easements, property lines, fence posts? What's considered a true setback? What is considered a true property line?
Depends upon the zoning. A true property line is what's recorded.
Okay.
On the map or whatever.
So a fence.
Now, you could have a fence. I mean, you could have a property line or whatever here. If there's power lines, whatever, Duke Energy or whatever normally has an easement too as well, or whatever that area was. In that area there was, most of everything or whatever runs within the right of way.
Okay, goes back to the right of way. Now, a simple fence does not necessarily mean a fence is put on the property line. So fence is not, it's a legal description right there. Okay. You answered the questions in regards to setbacks, how they're measured. I've spoken in regards to forgotten neighborhoods. That answers my questions right there. Any other board members have questions or comments for?
And if I can just
Staff.
add,
Please,
property
ma'am.
lines are invisible, right? You can't see where they are. You think you know where they are, but they're invisible. And that's why the as-built survey is required, and the surveyor certifies that, right? He documents where those property lines are, where the foundations are, and the distances. And obviously, we're not going back and checking his numbers because he is a certified surveyor, and that's what he does.
One other question with that, now that Chris is up here. Minimum housing, we don't want anybody in Fuquay-Varina living in a dangerous house or a troubled house or any issues right
No,
there.
we accept any kind of phone, I receive calls or whatever, if someone wanted to do a minimum housing inspection, we jump right on it.
So any resident that feels like they're living in a house that is not safe or not legal needs to contact
I've
you.
actually had landlords or whatever call me before they rent and say, hey, look, can you come do a minimum housing inspection for me, make sure I'm up to date and I've got everything I need.
Okay.
But anyone or whatever that's leasing or renting as far as a tenant, they make a phone call, we'll be going to minimum housing.
So
And
Chris,
I will refer this was just that it is minimal. I mean,
I
it's,
understand. Any tenant in Fuquay-Varina, not just in this neighborhood, but any neighborhood in Fuquay-Varina, if they feel unsafe or there's dangerous issues there, they can contact your department. It doesn't cost anything. Your department will go out there and inspect it. Okay. And ensure that it's meant to, and state law dictates the minimum housing right there. It may not be to what everybody would like to see out there, but you have to follow state law, and that's all we can do there. Okay. All right. Questions or comments from board members?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I have the other comment that was made by the citizen. I just spoke to Assistant Town Manager Matthews about that. I've gotten about 50 complaints in the last 2-3 weeks about that property that they're discussing about. It's an eyesore to the school, it's an eyesore to the church, it's an eyesore to the neighbors, and I've gotten from the leadership of the church, the leadership of the school, as well as citizens around it who are complaining about the eyesore that is every day, especially parents having to sit in the carpool line seeing that eyesore, as well as going to church every Sunday seeing that eyesore. And it hasn't been moved. I've heard the stories behind the property and what's going on with the multiple general managers, general contractors have had it, but, what I don't want is the same thing to happen to this property. I don't know these owners or anybody, but that's my key thing now is make sure these projects are going on. Now, there are other projects that actually started after this project, and they've already completed on that road and on the next road over. So I just want to make sure we don't continue to get in these kind of things where we have these eyesores, because it is an eyesore to the community.
Mark, is that something, I'm not trying to get completely off subject here, but
Yeah,
I know exactly what Commissioner Haynes is talking about in regards to that. Y'all can look into tomorrow what can be done over there.
Absolutely, and for the benefit of the public, I want to let you know that the town accepts code compliance complaints at any time, and we can generally get a code compliance officer out there to inspect it and begin the process within 1 to 2 business days.
So we're already on top of that.
That is one that is already being worked. Now, there is a legal process that has to go through for the benefit of every property owner, but the town doesn't turn a blind eye to any neighborhood. Code compliance complaints are accepted at any time.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, I just want to make sure they know that we are actually actively working on it, and it's not, we're not overlooking that, because we all see it when we ride by it.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment
Commissioner?
too. And I think where we are is a condition that results back from the zoning laws that were implemented back in 1940. I grew up on Longfellow Street, and to ride over there and to see the cramped development now, the way that homes are being put up as they are, is a sad reflection of the consequences of a neglected neighborhood prior to the 1960s and 65, where you had the new housing laws. I think we as a board, we need to re-look at how we use the development standards and patterns for that particular neighborhood because of the historical impact that it has had and the results of the quality of life we have today for people who are interested in living in that part of our town. I think that every citizen deserves to have a quality of life. The development pattern over there are small homes, the fiasco that's on the corner of Bridge and Longfellow Street. I mean, I think that that's so unfair to the residents there who have bought homes, paid taxes, and we have this kind of result. I think that we as a board perhaps need to look at and rethink how we look at the development, particularly in that particular area, again, because of historical impact that it has had and what it's doing now. I'm just sort of saddened to hear the results of the impact that it's having on residents over there now. And I've heard the same kind of complaints in regards to the development and the housing type that is over or being built or perhaps encouraged to be built over in the Lincoln Heights area. And you don't want to not have people to be able to profit from their building, but at the same time, I think we need to make a statement about the kind of quality of housing that we want, similar to any place here in Fuquay-Varina, and I think that kind of housing is going to continue unless we as a board do something to address the kind of concerns that have been brought before us this evening. I don't know where we begin, but I think that at some kind of level we need to encourage people who are interested in developing property in that area to not only look at the minimum standards, but to have a higher quality of standard when they come to wanting to develop in that particular area.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Any other board comments or questions?
What can we do?
Pam, what happens to this property if no rezoning is done to it? What can they do with the property as it is right now?
These are lots of records, so they could build 2 houses, 1 on each lot, with the reduced lot of record standards, so that's a 5-foot side, 10-foot rear, with no zoning conditions, just they could put whatever they wanted. So in this case, they are offering some zoning conditions that does affect the appearance of the house. They're offering a street tree, they're offering glazed front doors, no vinyl siding, a covered entry or front porch, as some of those things, plus the plot plan, so we can see. So it would be potentially a wider structure than a 15-foot wide house is what the widest it could be on a 25-foot wide lot.
The 5-foot setbacks, you're telling me 5-foot setbacks, that's existing rules. It's been 5-foot setbacks for quite some time.
So this would fall under the lot of record standards. So there is a reduction if you can't meet the setbacks of that zoning district. As a lot of record, you may have reduced setbacks. So, it's to protect existing property owners, so they can always build something. You can always build something on an existing lot. Mm-hmm. You're not restricted that because of the setbacks. It's, we don't want to create unbuildable lots for people who have owned properties, especially in this area, for potentially a long time.
Okay.
I think that's one of the things, originally when all these came up, and I said this is going to continue to be a trend. So we're seeing again that at the end of the day, this property owner can still build what they technically want to build. So now it's to the point where we need to get the best quality product that we can get out of these projects. So, and I think that answers your question. Where are we at now? It's just we're trying to get the best quality product out of what we can, and if not, they'll be able to build those 2 properties.
Any other questions for staff or? So you're looking for either a motion or approval or a motion denial. Those are your 2 options, correct? Okay. Anybody like to make one of those 2 motions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we deny the zoning map amendment request at 426 and 428 Longfellow Street, due to the information that has been presented as so far.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. James, any other motions or suggestions or anything? Or the motion denial has failed for lack of a second? Continue it or motion to approve your other two options there. Okay, anybody, board members like to make one of those two motions?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to continue this public hearing. I think at this point, we need more information from these.
And the public hearing is closed.
Oh, that's right, it's closed, so yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, just continue, yeah.
Okay. Motion to continue it to a future date. What date would that be? And what information do you need staff to bring back?
I think that's where we are. I don't think we can get assurance now from the property we see now of what will happen. So that's where I'm kind of stuck at right now, because we had assurances from the last property and we see where that is now. So that's where kind of where you are, where you don't really know what to ask for, because
the dragging out of the construction, the dirty site, those types of things, and not being courteous to the neighborhood, that type of stuff. What you're looking for?
Yeah, excuse me, and Mayor, the manager, we'd be asking for what specific information would the board want in addition to what has already been presented, whether that be additional zoning conditions. Again, the reason why staff is making the recommendation for this approval is because by right, the developer can build two houses. And with the rezoning, the developer is offering certain conditions that he does not have to provide if he develops by right. So that's why staff is currently recommending approval for this item.
Speaking of that, Jim, why are they even bringing a request here? Why don't they just go build what they want to then, since they can do it by right? Why even come before?
For several other developments that have occurred in the neighborhood, they know that the town is trying to improve neighborhoods throughout the community, and working with the town to get those zoning requirements is a benefit for the town. And so this is an example of a developer working with the town to get those benefits.
So it's not a matter of getting reduced setbacks or anything with that. It's a matter of trying to condition a good product to be built, and that I guess I'm trying to figure out or understand if two can be built without approval, why are they even coming?
They wouldn't be townhouses, they would be row houses.
Right.
Okay.
Between them.
Okay, they're trying to avoid the setback between the two so they could build two larger houses instead of two smaller houses? Is that what I'm understanding? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think board needs to give staff some directional information of what they'd like to see brought back or negotiated out with this property owner right here.
And was there a meeting date that was identified if this is continued?
Do we want to continue the public hearing and reopen it, or do we just want to table consideration? That needs to be the question.
The public hearing's been closed already.
Mm-hmm.
But the board could continue it to the next time, reopen.
How about give some guidance, attorney? We could use some guidance right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if we just want to table consideration, staff could bring back information, just table consideration to the next board meeting.
Brian, you got a feel of what you're looking for there?
I don't know if the public hearing is really going to accomplish anything there as far as staff information.
Yeah, outside of hearing from the actual builders, I mean, I don't think outside of that, there will be nothing else public hearing wise we can hear from. I mean,
they can come to the next meeting. I can call upon them to speak if they're willing to come.
If we can get that next meeting, continue to the next meeting I would appreciate that.
Yeah, that's reasonable enough. Pam will require.
Mayor, if I may, so to be clear, you're just asking that the developer show up at the next meeting to speak on behalf of the project. The board is not specifically asking for any additional zoning conditions or specifics above and beyond what has already been presented in the rezoning application tonight. The only request by the board is that the developer show up. I just want to confirm that. We would prefer to be specific what those requests are.
I think what they're hearing is the builder or developer comes here and be able to share how they're going to not create the same concerns that neighborhoods had on other pieces of property, and make the board feel good about how they're going to be a good neighbor and a good citizen to the neighbors right there versus what they've seen happen in some of the other projects through there. And I think if the person came and, or company, whoever it is, representative, and spoke and board felt good about it, I think what I'm hearing from board members is that they could feel confident, more confident with an approval. But tonight, there's nobody speaking in favor of it. We're hearing nothing but negative, and that would make board members feel more comfortable. May not, but at least that's what I understood. Brian?
And also, like I said, and this is not a project, this is only happening in this community. We just voted on a project very similar for that downtown, in the downtown area not too long ago. So it's happening all over Fuquay. So it's, like I said, it's gonna continue to be a trend, for these type properties. So if we can have that assurance.
Well, and again, that's the board's prerogative. Just want to make sure that that management has an understanding so we can explain to staff and the developer for the next meeting. So, again.
I think you use that corner as a prime example and say this is what the neighbors are afraid of is getting ready to happen again.
Okay.
How can he or she make the board feel good that if they were to approve something that they're not going to cause a headache for the neighbors right there.
Okay, and this would, I guess from the attorney, that this would be continued to the next meeting.
So the motion will be to table
Okay.
consideration until the January 21st board meeting.
All right,
So moved. So
all right,
moved.
we have a motion so moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All right, item is continued until the next meeting. Pam, thank you for your help. Danielle, thank you for your comments here tonight. I met Danielle at a NC State about a year ago. We were speaking to a bunch of kids about to go to college soon and talking about careers, and we were playing this Guess Who game, and you stood up there and you described what you do, and their job and the idea was they could guess what you do and that they had a future, and right there. And Danielle shared with me at that time that she lived on Longfellow Street and went to Lincoln Heights and grew up here, and I hadn't seen her since then until tonight when I saw you here, Danielle. But as you can imagine, a smart young lady talking about growing up in Fuquay-Varina and being a professor at a college and teaching welding, she blew their minds and did a good job on that Guess Who game. I think you won that game that night, Danielle, or that afternoon, didn't you, Danielle? So anyway, thank you for being here. Sorry, I skipped this item. Next public hearing, item 7C, zoning map amendment, Wayne Malden Watkins Survey in PA 10101 and 10125, Division Drive, REZ 2024-16. More information about this item will be presented by Planning Director Davidson. Pamela, it's your last item.
Last one, yep. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of 2.87 acres located at 10101 and 10125 Division Drive from the heavy industrial zoning district to the research light industrial conditional zoning district. The parcels each contain an existing structure with several tenants. The two properties were zoned heavy industrial prior to 2016 and developed as flex space under the applicable standards at the time. In 2022, the town updated the permitted use tables and determined that retail uses and uses that incorporated a level of public interaction and assembly were not appropriate in heavy industrial districts. While tenants present at the time of the amendment's adoption would be permitted to remain, new tenants would be required to fit into only uses permitted in the heavy industrial district. This requested industrial zoning adjustment to research light industrial will shift the property into the correct zoning classification to support the continued use of the properties as flex space and bring the properties into alignment with their immediate neighbors. At the December 16, 2024 regular meeting, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval. The motion tonight is to approve REZ 2024-16, a zoning map amendment for 10101 and 10125 Division Drive from the heavy industrial zoning district to the research light industrial conditional zoning district, as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for reasons identified by management and staff. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for staff at this time? All right. Hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, board members. Wayne Malden with Malden Watkins Surveying at 139 North Main Street here in Fuquay. And we put this rezoning petition together, which you have before you here tonight. As you heard staff say, this was what is left of what was zoned heavy commercial out in that area. The rest of it over the years has already been changed to light industrial. These 2 lots were the first 2 that were built on and were still built into heavy commercial zoning. I think the staff had been by and noticed some of the uses didn't really fit heavy commercial out there anymore. So they had requested that we do a rezoning. And that's what you have before you here tonight, is just a rezone to the same type of zoning it is in the area, so that the uses that are located in the buildings now will be more in line with the town's ordinances. If you ever have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment? Hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Mayor, so move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the consent agenda. What's the board's pleasure on items of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Administrative report, item 10A, contract award, 2024 to 2025 pavement preservation project. More information about agenda item will be presented by Engineering Director Poland. Matt, we know when you come, you want to spend money.
Always.
But at least it's almost always dealing with roads and trying to improve our roadway system. So thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and the supporting documentation into the official record of the town. So the 2024-2025 pavement preservation project, the purpose of this agenda item is to consider awarding a contract for construction of the 2024-2025 pavement preservation project to Pavement Technology Incorporated in the amount of $191,455.88. The pavement preservation project involves applying a preservative and a restorative treatment to approximately 11.3 miles of the town's street network. The construction contract was advertised on November 15th, 2024, and bids were publicly open here at Town Hall on December 6, 2024. The Pavement Technology was confirmed as the responsible bidder, and construction is expected to begin in the spring of 2025, with project completion anticipated by July of 2025. There is also a fiscal note to bring your attention to. And these are some of the maps of some of the areas, some of the newer subdivisions that are being treated. This particular treatment actually will extend the life of the service life of the road by about 5 years. And again, we're treating 11.3 miles with this particular project. So it helps us kind of plan, helps us to plan better for when we go to replace or to mill and resurface these streets down the road. So. Any questions about any of the neighborhoods that we are treating?
Matt, at 11 miles and some change, and just over $190,000, it's about $18,000 per mile, and you're extending it by 5 years. I use that to bring the perspective in that as we improve our roads and potholes and what we can do for those, $18,000 for a mile for 5-year life is huge bang for the buck.
Yes, sir.
Cost of building roads, a mile of road is millions and millions of dollars right there. So that's a great way we can improve our roads and save taxpayers money.
Yep.
Does it make any difference on your 5-year life? You get 5-year longer life span expansion, but at the then you just resurface the road like you would do any other road.
I mean, and there are also other treatments. I mean, you could chip seal, you could crack seal. I mean, there are other things you could do along the way to help preserve the road and to extend the service life of it. So, but the recommended motion tonight is to award a contract for construction of the 2024-2025 pavement preservation project to Pavement Technology Incorporated in the amount of $191,455.88. and authorize the town manager to execute the contract on behalf of the town, subject to the town attorney's review as to form. I'd be happy to answer any additional.
Before I made the motion, I wanted to ask some more questions. Has the town done this before?
This is the first time that we have used this particular product. And several of our neighboring municipalities, they use this particular product as well.
And can you, in layman's terms, describe to me what will be done? What is the product? And
it's like a seal coat
yeah,
that they're going to spread across the road, and they'll just kind of screed it across the road. So it's almost like a seal coat.
do you anticipate that you would do this again for these same roads at some point in the future, or is it kind of a one-time thing?
Potentially. We would end up using our capital predictor model, which is helping us to identify what roads and what tools or what treatments that we need to apply to, the different roads, whether the level of service is, say it's in the 50s or 60s, that would be a mill and fill. But if it's up in the 80 top, the higher 80s or the 90s, you would apply this type of treatment to help extend it. And so we're using our capital predictor to help us determine what type of surface treatment or what type of
What is the capital predictor?
That is the model that the town has invested in and using to help us, identify streets and utilities and infrastructure. What is their service life, and when do we need to start planning to replace that particular utility or street?
And can we use Powell bill money for this treatment?
Yes, sir. This is part of the annual POW bill allocation that we use.
Man, that was an investment we made on that capital predictor that you're talking about. How long ago was that was done?
It's been a little while. We've slowly been adding pieces to it as we have like a pavement condition study done, as we have.
Board approved just a few years ago before you were got on.
So we went under contract 2 years ago, and then last year during town board retreat was when we shared the results of that. And so our approach this year, the town board took two actions. One is we increased the allocation of POW bill funds to be completely dedicated towards maintaining our street condition. And the second piece of that is using that tool to use a variety of pavement treatments, in some cases resurfacing, in some cases these other treatments, with the end goal of maintaining our level of service for our street condition and the best target end product for the lowest cost of the taxpayer. So we're planning to do some public education in advance of this effort, so our community can understand you're not going to see a fresh coat of asphalt in every street treatment. Some is going to be this application, others are going to be a full overlay depending on where that street is in its life.
I like it. Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Fix the roads, Matt. Next item 10B, Administrative Report, Contract Award, Budget Amendment, and Project Ordinance Amendment, BL-0022, Downtown Varina Pedestrian Improvements. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Engineering Director Poland. All right, Matt, don't go anywhere.
I am submitting this agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider approving a budget amendment and the associated project ordinance amendment for $1,800,000 and awarding a contract for the construction of the Downtown Varina projects BL-0022 to Hollins Construction Services Incorporated for $1,882,867. And the project, it's sidewalk improvement. It's along Ransdell Road and North Street. It runs from Broad Street all the way up to Fuquay-Varina High School. The scope of work is curb and gutter and sidewalks, storm drainage improvements, some minor pavement widening. This was one of our 21-22 LAP projects. The funding was delayed from COVID and DOT budget shortfalls. We're finally getting to construction. The town had received 6 bids from licensed contractors on December 12, 2024, with Hollins Construction Services being the lowest responsible bidder at $1,882,867. And the fiscal note attached, this was an 80-20 match with Campo paying 80% and the town matching it at 20. Funds to cover the overages will come from our fee and lieu accounts. And the town staff has already requested additional funding to cover the overages from Campo. And those supplemental agreements will be brought to the town board at a later town board meeting. This is
What made the cost increase so much?
So this was originally awarded in 2021. And so those cost estimates got really long in the tooth during COVID. And then construction prices just went through the roof. Inflation, delays. And so
So no surprises as far as running into some sort of engineering issue that you didn't predict or anything like that?
No, sir. No, sir.
It's just everything's a lot more expensive.
Yes, sir.
So we're moving, and as you mentioned, the project's still moving forward. It's just you're working on getting the additional funds to reimburse the extra cost.
So we are borrowing from our fee and lieu accounts temporarily while we seek additional funding from Campo to help pay for those overages. So
the project can keep moving.
yes, sir.
That's right. All right, it's gonna be a big project. It's
I
gonna get a
bet
lot done in that area.
the mayor will be able to get us some more money from Campo.
We're working on behind the scenes. I think we got the votes lined up.
All right.
Not done till it's done.
And so the recommended motion tonight is to approve a budget amendment BA 2511 in the amount of $1,800,000, along with its corresponding project ordinance amendment POA 25-12, and 2, award a contract for the construction of the Downtown Varina Pedestrian Improvements Project BL 0022 to Holland's Construction Services in the amount of $1,882,867 and authorize the town manager to execute the contract on behalf of the town, subject to the town attorney's review as to form. And I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Is there any further questions? We entertain a motion to move.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10C, on-call engineering services firm selection. More information about this tonight will be presented by Engineering Director Poland. You know you're going to make Pamela jealous.
I'm submitting this agenda abstract and the supporting documents into the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider entering into a 2-year agreement with 6 engineering firms for on-call preliminary engineering services. On October 15th, 2024, the town requested letters of interest for preliminary engineering services for on-call services for a 2-year term with the ability to extend up to 1 additional year. The on-call engineering service contracts aim to streamline the selection of professional services in compliance with the Minnie Brooks Act to reduce project schedules, meet grant funding timelines, and make staff time more efficient. The request for letters of interest was advertised on the town's and NCDOT's website. And so the scope included professional engineering design, land surveying, subsurface utility engineering, geotechnical engineering, cost estimation, project management, environmental documentation, and permitting, public engagement, right-of-way acquisition, and this is all for federally funded projects. The selection committee, composed of both the engineering department and public utility staff, which ranked firms on qualifications, experience, and project approach. The recommended firms to enter into an on-call agreement is Kimley Horn, Exalt Engineering, Trans Systems, RK&K, Stantec, and Kittleson. And there is no fiscal note with this agenda item. The recommended motion is to approve the selection of the engineering firms Kimley Horn, Exalt Engineering, Trans Systems, RK&K, Stantec, and Kittleson for engineering on-call services, and authorize the town manager to enter into a 2-year on-call preliminary engineering services agreement with the recommended engineering firm subject to the town attorney's review as to form. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any further questions for staff? All right. And you like these firms?
Yes, sir.
All right, Matt likes them. We'll entertain a motion so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Motion second.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Matt. All right, other business. Senior Deputy Manager Mark Matthews, Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got just a few items to draw the board's attention to and the public. It has been a busy start to the year. The police department has a couple updates. Officer Williscroft and Officer Godwin are taking on new roles in the department and are being assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division as investigators. And this transition will give them some additional work experience in that field and will take place over the next few weeks. The Police Honor Guard team also had the chance to present the colors last night at the Carolina Hurricanes game. So it was great to have Fuquay-Varina Police Department represented with the cans. The fire department has a few updates. Fire Station 4 was recently awarded a 2025 Space Award for new construction from the Triangle Business Journal. The project will be recognized at the awards banquet on February 13th. Fire Captain Michael Altier will be recognized at the 2024 Town Employee of the Year by the Fuquay-Varina Women's Club at their meeting on February 10th. And also the fire department family, the extended family of the fire department, welcomed 3 new members, 2 baby girls and 1 baby boy since the start of November. Everyone is doing well, and 2 of the little ones have already made their first visit to the fire station.
That's great. Chief, what kind of water y'all got in those fire hoses?
The Parks and Rec Department opened youth sports registration for the spring today for town residents. So anyone who's a town resident is strongly encouraged to register early, which would be this week, as limited space is available. Hilltop Needmore Town Park, and that's because it will be open to residents and town residents beginning next week. The Hilltop Needmore Town Park Community Center is continuing to make significant progress. Final trade inspections and punch list walks are scheduled this week, and we're planning to cut the ribbon on that facility at the beginning of February. The Public Works Department has several updates. First, the Street Department recently hired Corey Bowie as a street maintenance worker. The Street Department has also completed demolition on the interior of the storage building at the Hill. This completes the plan identified in this budget to fully dedicate that building to improve storage and maintenance of the town's Christmas decoration inventory. Additionally, Public Works Director Stevenson was elected chair of the Campo Technical Coordinating Committee, which is the staff advisory committee which makes recommendations to Campo's executive board. So great to see Tracy Stevenson in that role. We'll just note the Public Works Department has been ready and will continue to closely monitor the weather forecast for any winter weather that may take place in the coming days or weeks. They're ready to go. The Communications Department held social media training at the end of December, and Communications and Marketing Specialist Alex Bauman graduated from the Chamber's Leadership Program, and also the Communications Department has been actively working on the State of the Town video. The Town of Fuquay-Varina and Black History Stakeholders Group is bringing together artists and audiences to celebrate the diversity of African American music traditions through a unique showcase of artistry and performance for Black History Month this coming February at the Fuquay-Varina Arts Center. So events will kick off with a gospel showcase representing a variety of talent from right here in Fuquay-Varina on February 1st. At 2 p.m. at the Arts Center, and throughout the month, other performers will take center stage at the Arts Center, bringing other rich musical traditions, including the Masters of Soul and Shauna Tucker in the Icons of Jazz series. So, active menu of events in the coming months, but particularly the Black History Month theme, celebrating the arts in the month of February. Public Utilities Department is reminding everyone here and everyone not here to please winterize all plumbing fixtures and detach your garden hoses. We're expecting to have a deep freeze this week. The water line replacement project on Main Street from Academy Street to Jones Street will be starting in the next several days, and it is expected to last until May. Updates to the project will be shared on the town's social media platforms, and if you're interested in following updates, that will have a number of impacts as it's going right through the center of downtown. So we'll be keeping the public informed as we go through phases. The End of Street Waterline Replacement Project is out to bid with a bid opening date set for January 23rd, 2025. The Planning Department had a busy year in 2024. They finished the calendar year with 41 subdivision reviews and 34 commercial site plan reviews. So they continue to actively stay on top of all of the different plans and requests in our community, as well as current planning. The Engineering Department has advertised the HL 42 Northeast Judd and Broad intersection and operational improvements, and bids will be opened on February 4th for this project. Agenda item will come forward to this board for award, either the second meeting in February or possibly the first meeting in March. And construction is anticipated to begin this spring, lasting approximately 12 to 18 months. There are also several events to make you aware of that are listed on the agenda. There's Coffee with a Cop coming up at Happy's Country Club this Wednesday, January 8th. The police department will have a Friends with Wisdom event at Calyx Living, Fuquay-Varina on January 22nd. The Dr. Martin Luther King celebration will be led by the Cultural Arts Society of Fuquay-Varina on January 20th. And the Black History Stakeholders event that I mentioned before, Gospel Showcase, Unity in the Community, will be held at the Arts Center on February 1st. I'll be happy to address any questions you may have. Thank you.
Mark, thank you for that information, that update. Anybody have any questions for management? I know that we're very excited for several of those events that you have coming up and ones that we've been working on, and won't be long before we have a community center full of youth sports too, and active adults upstairs, and all kinds of programming going on at it. So I know everybody's excited for that and be coming up in the future. Commissioner Harris, any final comments?
No comments tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Adcock, any final comments?
No, sir.
Commissioner Wunsch, any final comments?
No comments.
Commissioner Haynes, any final comments?
No comments.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, any final comments?
Just to wish everybody the happiest of the year, and we're excited to get started again.
Let's roll.
That means I got at least 45 minutes I can speak. Oh. Y'all didn't use your time up right here tonight. And I mean, it's not like anybody's got someone they got to be tomorrow morning bright and early, do they, Teresa? So, Happy New Year, everybody. I'll keep my points brief right here. Happy New Year. Everybody have a good evening. Assistant Town Manager, I believe there's no closed session tonight. Is that correct?
Correct. None is recommended.
No closed session tonight. All right, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
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 Say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.